Long Islanders have complained about illegal housing for years. Well, tonight, there is a crackdown in one community.
Perry Esposito says the problem of illegal housing is getting worse in his Westbury neighborhood. He says at least 2 nearby homes have illegal tenants. After multiple complaints from residents like Perry, the village is cracking down with what it calls a new housing enforcement program. The village says there will be zero tolerance for those breaking the law. Among the changes, the village will create a housing enforcement unit and hire 2 new officers. It'll conduct inspections without notice and increase housing violation fines. It will also raise fees and toughen maintenance rules for homes owned by absentee landlords. In the coming days, residents will be receiving these flyers from the village informing them about the specifics with this new housing enforcement program.
Police in Albuquerque, New Mexico clashed with protesters for more than 10 hours on Sunday using tear gas to disperse crowds. The peaceful demonstration just went out of control. Hundreds took to the streets angry over the recent fatal police shooting of a homeless man on March 16th, which was captured on video. You can see in the video that police demand the man put his hands up. They see a knife in his grasp, and as he turns around to get down, he's shot with live rounds, shot with beanbags, and a canine is set on him. Anger in the city boiled over at the sight of what residents call excessive use of force by a police department.
Look at this line of riot police here on Central right now. We have got a staggered line of riot police, a front line here. We have another line of riot police here, tactical units as I showed you behind. And if you look beyond, I don't know if you can see, there are mounted riot police as well standing by. This may look a little bit unusual to you.
The protest started at noon yesterday. Protesters walked down Central on the highway and were met by officers in riot gear. Police used tear gas twice. At one point, 2 protesters near Central and Yale climbed a light post and used a strap to try to pull it down. Eden says it was after repeated warnings for people to disperse that officers then released tear gas. At one point, protesters also converged on I-25 and started laying down in the middle of traffic.
Many people who lived or worked near the protest say at times it got downright scary. Many say they agree with the initial purpose of the protest, but the way it ended was simply violence for the sake of violence.
A North Jersey teen says he was just twirling a pencil. His school says he was pointing it like a gun, so they suspended him. Was he a real threat, or did the school go too far? News 12 New Jersey's Douglas Clark has more from Sussex County.
7th grader Ethan Chaplin has been home from his school in Vernon for 2 days after getting in trouble in math class. He says he was just twirling a pencil with a pen cap on it.
I was just holding it like this or like twisting it around.
The student behind him yelled out, "He's making gun motions, send him to juvie."
Ethan says the other student had bullied him earlier in the day and was now trying to retaliate, but the school told Ethan he was suspended pending the outcome of a psychological evaluation.
I'm livid. I'm absolutely livid. I think it's gross misconduct at its finest. They took something so minimal and took it so far over the edge.
We never know what's percolating in the mind of children, okay? And when they demonstrate behaviors that raise red flags, we must do our duty.
During questioning, Ethan says administrators did not listen to his side of the story.
I was shocked because I'm like, how am I not going to come back to school for it? I didn't even do anything.
Ethan underwent a 5-hour physical and psychological evaluation, which came back clean. He's now waiting on word about when he can return to school. In Vernon, Douglas Clark, News 12, New Jersey.
A student punished for having a pocket knife in his car at school.
Sure, you could use it as a weapon, but it's also primarily a tool.
Jordan Weiser had big dreams. He's already joined the Army, set for Fort Benning in August. But those military plans are on hold now. He's been charged with a felony and spent 13 days in jail after what he says was a pocket knife was found in his car at his school, Ashtabula County Tech. He says the pocket knife was for his work as a certified healthcare provider. He was studying to be an EMT before he was kicked out of school. And he says he has volunteered with the Sheffield Township Department. He always carries a pocket knife.
Maybe some misjudgment, but that's something that I've used in my EMS work for, since I started firefighting when I was 14.
Weiser, if convicted of a felony, can't enter the Army or work as a cop or a firefighter.
Birmingham police have shut down some ministries feeding the homeless. That's because they were serving food from trucks without a permit.
These are the last 5 I have. Usually I bring about 160 every time I come.
It's routine for Minister Rick Wood,
Every other Saturday.
who hands off hot dogs and bottled water to the homeless.
Been doing it for about 6 years now.
Darrell Harris expects his arrival.
Hello, my brother. Just want to let you know how much Jesus loves you. And he's going to watch over you, okay?
But this could soon change because of a new city ordinance aimed at regulating food trucks. 2 weeks ago, Wood and other ministers were shut down by police because they didn't have a permit from the city to serve food in Lynn Park.
In a News It or Not exclusive, we hear from the father of the 20-year-old airman who was shot in the stomach Thursday by an Opelika police officer.
Billy Davidson chokes back tears, thinking about his 20-year-old son, Michael Davidson, who's still recovering at East Alabama Medical Center 5 days after being shot by an Opelika officer. 7 o'clock Thursday night, Davidson, a first class in the Air Force, was driving on I-85 headed to North Carolina for his assignment. His father says he got into a minor accident.
The police department, I guess, pulled up behind him, and he didn't really know this behind him at that time. And then when he seen the lights, he realized it was a police vehicle, and he raised his hands up with his billfold. And at the time, he was also turning around saying, you know, I'm an airman heading to my, he said that's as far as he got. As he turned around, he felt something hit him and realized he had been shot. You know, like I say, we're a law and order family. We thought law and order would prevail, but now we've been hearing stuff. They was looking for charges for against Michael and stuff like that.
Well, we created it, and now it belongs to the rest of the world. The Obama administration about to hand over control of the internet to the global community, giving up the oversight that manages technical functions in website addresses, like when you buy a web domain.
So to clear this up for some of our viewers, I mean, what is this going to look like for Americans on the internet 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Because this is going to happen, what, in 2015 when the contract's up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I worry about censorship, to go off of what Anna's asking here, this idea that the government right now could be limiting or further limiting what we surf and what we have access to.
A confrontation between teenagers and police on video leads to an arrest and now questions about a person's First Amendment rights.
Teens were recording their ordeal on one of these. It's a GoPro camera. An officer then asked them to shut it off. The question is, do they have the right to record a cop?
The officers, they came out of the trees with their assault rifles, and I was right over there.
A GoPro camera records until this.
I know of nothing in the law that says I can't record a conversation or an encounter with a police officer. Period.
Things got way out of hand in Tucson tonight after the University of Arizona lost in overtime to Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament. Unruly fans poured out of bars and started crowding the streets. Some of them started throwing things at police in riot gear, who responded by firing pepper spray and grenades into the crowd. One guy even stands right in front of officers as they pelt him over and over again with pellets. Police arrested that man and at least 9 others, while students in the crowd shouted, "Police brutality."
It was a violent night at a popular spring break event called Deltopia. It's held in Isla Vista near the campus of UC Santa Barbara. Police say 2 people in the crowd were treated for stab wounds and at least 6 law enforcement personnel were injured. The gathering drew huge crowds that got out of control. Hundreds of police officers were brought in to contain the violence. Some pictures are showing up on Twitter. There were reports of widespread vandalism, including street signs torn down. Small fires were set.
The future of an annual celebration at Iowa State University may be in jeopardy after an overnight riot in Ames. School administration, including ISU President Stephen Leith, will hold a news conference this afternoon with an update. A crowd gathered near the campus of Iowa State and tore down light poles, street signs, and flipped over cars. This is during the school's annual Visha celebration. One person was seriously hurt when a light pole hit him in the head. He had to be flown to a Des Moines hospital. Some students are upset with this violence.
It's disgusting. This is not Visha. This is literally
like the epitome of evil, in my opinion.
An apology today from the coffee giant Starbucks after a Baton Rouge woman found possibly what some would consider satanic symbols in her coffee. It happened this weekend at the Starbucks in the mall. The woman posted these photos of the coffees after she got them. She put them on Facebook. She said the drawings show a lack of professionalism and respect for others. In a statement today, a spokesperson for the company said, quote, "We are taking this customer's complaints seriously, and we have sincerely apologized for her experience. This obviously is not the type of experience we want to provide any of our customers and is not representative of the customer service our partners provide to millions of customers every day."
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
I believe the devil wants to take over the church. I believe the devil wants to take over this church, one person at a time.
Talk about the New World Order defined as you have as being Luciferian.
Yes.
How do you know that?
My investigations led me to look at the back of the American dollar, and I found these strange seals on the dollar here. They're Illuminati seals, which was a secret society set up in 1776 by a man called Adam Weishaupt. And on the back of the dollar here, you see the seal on the left-hand side, and there's an eye in the triangle. It's the eye of Horus in Egyptian mythology, now called the eye of Lucifer or Satan. And thus we see we're dealing with a Luciferian plan. People need to recognize the God of Freemasonry will lead the world into this peculiar and particular purpose for which America was set up, which is to lead the whole world system into a one world government, a one world religion, a one world law system, and a one world money system that the Bible calls the mark of the beast.
I pray that you will stay, however, my friends, with this great book, the Word of God. This truly is what we need to turn to. The time is short. A great falling away from the truth. It's happening. It's right here now.